Hello, this is Mrs. Taylor, and I'm going to show you how to solve by factoring using the X puzzle when a does not equal 1. And what that means is your number in front of the square term is not 1, it's some other number. And in this case, the first thing I look for is a GCF. Well, 3, 8, and 16 don't have a common factor. They don't have a common divisor. So I can't factor out a GCF, so I immediately need to go to the X puzzle. Well, when you have a number other than 1 in front of x squared, it gets a little tricky. You have a little extra steps, a few extra steps for your X puzzle. The first thing you have to do is you have to take your A value, slide it over to your C value, and multiply it for the top number in your X puzzle. So that would be 3 times negative 16, which would be negative 48. And your B value still goes in the bottom. So now I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to equal 48 but add to equal 8. And that's a number I might not know off the top of my head. So just trial and error with your calculator. 48 divided by 2, that's 24. 2 and 24 don't make 8. 48 divided by, let's see if it's divisible by 3. 3 and 16, again, don't add to equal 8. Divide by 4. 4 and 12, now that could work. If I subtract 4 and 12, I do get 8. And that works because I have negatives here. So that would be 4 and 12. And in order for the 8 to be negative, the bigger number has to be negative. So that means 12. All right, so have my X puzzle solved, create my two sets of parentheses, and put my variables and my two numbers that solve my X puzzle. But I'm not done, because if I FOILed this, if I multiply this out, I still wouldn't get my original trinomial. For example, if I did x times x, I get x squared, not 3x squared. So the way we accommodate for that is we do a couple more steps. We do divide, simplify, bottoms up. And what we do for the divide step is we take the A value and we divide these constants by that A value. And the next thing we do is reduce the fractions. So 4/3 is already reduced. It's in its simplest form. But 12/3, that reduces to 4. Okay, and then anything left that's a fraction, that's the bottoms up part. We take the bottom of the fraction and move it up to in front of the x. So you would have 3x plus 4, and then x minus 4. Those would be your two factors. And now if you FOIL this out, 3x times x would be 3x squared. That would be negative 12x plus 4x would be negative 8x, and then 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. So now I have the correct factored form. Same process as before. Take each binomial, set it equal to 0, and then solve. And when you have these binomials have a number in front of x, all that means is your answer is going to be a fraction. So subtract 4, divide by 3, and x would equal negative 4/3. And then here I'd add 4, so x would equal 4. So my two solutions would be negative 4/3 and 4. And again, I can check this in my calculator just to show you how to check fractions in your calculator. Remember, where we plug it into the equation, we use parentheses. So if I was doing negative 4/3 first, checking that, I would have 3, and then it's 3x squared. So 3 parentheses, negative 4/3, which is negative 4 divided by 3 squared, minus 8, and then negative 4 divided by 3 to replace the x, minus 16. I get 0, so that's the correct solution. And then for checking x equals 4, it'd be 3 times 4 squared minus 8 times 4 minus 16. And I get 0, so I know my solutions are correct. So that is how you would solve using the X puzzle when a does not equal 1.